gig app Bungii thrives on your thirst, your ignorance, and your desperation if you let them. And I'm going to show you what I mean on this segment of the Gig Geezer. If this is your first time checking out the Gig Geezer, if you're a returning visitor of the Gig Geezer, thanks for coming by. And if you would not mind, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. Guess what? Bungii thanks you for your thirst, your desperation, and your ignorance. And they know it too. But let me put out these numbers, at least personally, with my experience with the Bungii app. I've been active on the Bungii app since late February, early March. Based on my count, I've earned $2,615.85 on the app this year. Although, according to the Bungii app, I've earned $2,501 and change. That does not include cash tips that I've earned while completing Bungii opportunities. Now, according to Bungii's app, I have completed 31 gig opportunities. And so that's an average of, based on the $2,615 based on my count, that's an average of right at about $85 per completed opportunity. Now that's nothing really to brag about. And quite honestly, I am more than aware that I have detractors who will probably give me grief by saying, well, you know what? That's money that you probably could make doing DoorDash. That's money that you can make probably doing Instacart or Uber Eats. And especially with you operating out of a van, I mean, you ain't doing shit. And then again, there may be those who might say that I'm the thirsty motherfucker who's been working the Bungii app. But I'll go on and say this. Let's be clear. When it comes to many of these gig apps, we are nothing more than blips on their algorithm. And depending on which app, we are no more than one delivery away from being deactivated. In fact, I can share that with you on the Bungii app. In fact, if you check out this segment of the Gig Geezer, I shared how my account was suspended because an irate customer alleged that I ruined an entire order of porcelain tile. And Bungii ran with what she said, and they reported back to me that I ruined an entire shipment, as I mentioned, of porcelain tile. The history behind it was that, according to the delivery instructions, I was to call the customer and so that she can open the garage so that I could put the tile in there. I didn't do that. I didn't call her, and what I did was I placed the tile on wet grass next to the driveway. And then a store contacted me about it, and I told them that I was in no position of returning, driving 2 hours back to rectify that. And Bungii tells me in the email, for the third time I mentioned, that I ruined all the tile, that they're all damaged, when in fact porcelain tile is one of the most water resistant products out there, and the only thing that was probably ruined was the boxing of the tile, the boxing material of the tile that was on the wet grass. But they also said that they had to pay for someone to come out and return the tile, and it is highly likely that the person who returned the tile may have damaged some of the tile, but it was my word against theirs. And so I went around as thinking that I'd been deactivated from Bungii. As it turned out, about 6 weeks later, this occurred in mid-April of this year, 2023. In early June, about 6 weeks later, I get a text message from Bungii asking me if I were interested in doing a gig, and that it was a local gig and it was paying $60. And I'm like, am I still active on this app? Oh yeah, you're active on the app. So apparently my account was temporarily suspended, but they never come back to tell me that, oh, it's our bad, that, oh, Geezer, you didn't damage any tile, and that the information that was given to us was erroneous. They didn't tell me none of that. But we're about 5 minutes into this discussion, and if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of Gig Geezer and any other segment of Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome comments in the section below. Well, recently I appeared on a live stream hosted by Steve Rideshare Rodeo. And Steve thanks for inviting me on your show as you have in recent weeks. And also, I'm going to throw this out there because it's a friend of his. Hannibal is hungry. Thanks for inviting me on your show. Um, the most recent live stream that I appeared on, we talked about the other type of orders, the orders that you would refuse or ignore, meaning that these gig order opportunities are ones that were not worth your while. And what I did to help with the material, I sent him screenshots of some roadie orders and some Bungii opportunities. Now, in private, in private, I have shown a couple of drivers whom I have close contact with. I've shown them examples of some of the horrible orders that Bungii has put out there, expecting that somebody's going to just dutifully, gladly accept them and complete them. And in fact, from time to time, I've posted some on my community page here on the Gig Geezer channel. Here's three quick examples. There was one, an offer. It was for duo, meaning that two people were to complete this order, and that each driver would be paid $43.09, at least according to the app. They were to pick up each 2,000 pounds of product, driving 8.4 miles. The next one, it was a duo opportunity, two drivers again. They were to be offered $35.18 to deliver each of them 2,000 pounds worth of product, and they were to drive 5.9 miles. The last example that I can give you quickly, just giving you some that come to mind. They were offered. This was a single opportunity, being offered $52.77 to transport or to pick up and deliver 1,800 pounds of product, and the driver were to drive 8.3 miles. Now, what prompted me to do this particular segment of the Gig Geezer was an interaction that I had with Bungii yesterday, Saturday, October 7, 2023. And what really got me thinking was that, okay, for the hell of it, I'm going to propose to Bungii. I'll do this order here, this furniture, whereas a pickup from a store, Big Lots. I would do this, Bungii, for $100. They replied immediately, no, we can't do that. I take it a step further. I said, why? Then I got to thinking about a driver friend of mine who has many years experience with the furniture store business. I sent him a picture of these same items to be delivered, and I asked him how much would the store charge. Store, he said, would charge probably $200. And if you were to do it as a part of your cash game, you'd probably charge the customer at a minimum $100, and maybe on a top end $150, only because of the store Big Lots has cheap customers. So I went back and told Bungii that most stores would charge $200 for this, and so $100 per driver is not unreasonable. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. So, but what I did say specifically though was, why are drivers being offered pennies for the same work? Says Bungii, customer deliveries are paid by minutes and by the mile and minute. So the estimate payment is based on this. And I'm going to say, assuming, then they go on to say, if you take 15 minutes to load and unload, if you take longer, you get paid more. So Bungii is saying their formula is based on the distance and what they estimate the amount of time that it takes to load and unload the items and to place it wherever that the customer asks you to place it. So my reply is that a store charges a flat rate, and rate per hour and distance is already calculated. Then I go on to say Bungii is exploiting drivers, and this is slave labor. Now, Bungii, pretty much, I know that these interactions are monitored, so they can only say what they can say. But so they took the high road and said, if you do not want to accept the delivery, that is okay. In other words, take it or leave it. So my reply is, I get the take it or leave it offer, but Bungii is preying upon ignorance, desperation, and outright thirst. So yes, I exercise the prerogative of not accepting it. And then Bungii replies, understood, have a nice day. Well, I know that there's going to be some smart ass who says, well, you do realize that you didn't have to accept any of the offers that you actually completed. I get that. And I didn't, and let's be grown folk about this. There were offers that I accepted that I know that were they were less than for the work that was required. And then there were offers that I accepted that I felt that was more fitting for the work that was required. And then there are some offers that I accepted that I felt that it was actually that was good for the type of work that was required. Then I know there's going to be the smart ass that's going to deride me and saying, hey, well, you know, what you're doing there is no more than what you could do with delivering DoorDash and Instacart, and you're still but you're using a van. You're doing all this, driving a van and doing work that is about the same as doing DoorDash and Instacart. All right. I'm not gonna fight with you on that, but I'm also gonna pose another possibility what some smart ass would probably say. And then there's those who would say that you're king thirsty. They're saying that I am king thirsty, and I'm the one who's trying to invite people into the kingdom of slave labor. Well, I'm not gonna get into a pissing contest with a person on that, but I will say that Bungii is one of many earnings options for me. And as of this year, as of today, October 8, 2023, Bungii has comprised just over 3% of my entire earnings for 2023. Again, according to my count, I've earned $2,615.85 on the app, and based on year-to-date earnings, year-to-date 1099 earnings, I have earned over $82,600. 3% of what I've earned. So it's not like I'm really dependent on Bungii. I'm not going to talk much longer on this topic about Bungii being exploitative, but I'm going to leave you with another example, and one that I actually shared on Steve Rideshare Rodeo's Last Mile. I provided him a receipt that the store actually gave me of this order that, in fact, it was the next to last Bungii order that I completed thus far. The item, which was some furniture, a pickup from a store where they actually loaded onto my van by forklift. The item cost $537. The customer was charged $85.37 or $85 and change for delivery. And then the total charge was $672, tax included. Bungii offered me $46.19, which I accepted because I'm thinking, oh, what the fuck? I mean, it's Saturday morning and there's something to do just to start the day, kind of get things going. I did. And so as it turned out, I actually earned $76.19 because the customer tipped me $30. I'm not saying that $76 is more befitting of this opportunity. If I go according to what the friend of mine who has experience with the furniture industry, that should have been paid double. It should have been about $150. So that's on me for doing for $76.19. What it suggests to me is that Bungii is really getting over on the drivers, and I'm coming out and saying that Bungii is getting over on the drivers. In fact, on this segment of the Gig Geezer, which is the first one that I did on Bungii, I pointed out how myself and another driver, we did a dual pickup at a freight forwarding, and the scenario was that we were to deliver like 3 pallets, but it turned out to be like 7 pallets of items, and so we had to make 2 trips. We contacted Bungii, who was rather reluctant, but they did do it. They did step up and pay us. We were paid initially. The offer was $88, but we ended up earning $191 each on it. But yet, the customer happened to mention to us that the total charge was $800. The total charge for transporting that was $800. The items to his place was $800, and we got less than half. That tells me that there's money out there that's Bungii's making, and the drivers is only getting a small percentage of it, a small portion of it. And that is what many of these apps are doing, like Roadie. Roadie is probably making whatever the driver's making. Roadie is getting that right off the top. So the cut by these companies is probably at a minimum of 51.49, but more than likely 60-40, 65-35, 70-30, maybe even 80-20 if the company can get off with it. So that's something to think about when you're out there. My man Jay Watts, Uber Jeep AZ, he's often mentioned in his live streams and in some of his segments that he's uploaded to know your worth. What that means is knowing your value in terms of the job that is being posed to you. Knowing your worth also means knowing what the market really should be paying. When, as I've mentioned in this segment of the Gig Geezer, one's thirstiness makes it bad for everyone. And so when you accept orders like this, the one from Big Lots for $32 each person, you're telling the apps, you're telling the algorithm, the market is okay with that type of a number. I'm gonna keep saying these type of things, whether people check out my segment or not. I'm gonna keep saying these things. If you complain about not making any money, the only person that you can blame is yourself. You can only look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm the reason why I'm not making any money. It's not the apps. It's not the algorithm. It is you. When you accept orders like this, the only way that things can change is when you realize your worth, when you realize what the market should be. Now, what that number is, obviously it's got to be more. It's got to be more. But again, that's on you and it's on me. And so that's all I have to share for this segment of the Gig Geezer. Hopefully you got something out of it. Hopefully this is something informative, and it may be motivating for you to rethink how you go about doing your personal enterprise, your business. And if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer and any other segment of the Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. I'm Inwood Lane, and as always, may your grind and may your hustle continue.